If you've ever been confused about minor scales on the piano, this video is going to fix that quick and easy. Hey there, I'm Jonathan, and if you're like me, at some point maybe a teacher showed you minor scales, how do you practice them, but didn't really explain why they're important. And so after doing it for weeks or months, you just kind of throw them aside because, hey, what's the point? It really all kind of stems from the leading tone of the major scale. That's the note that really wants to resolve to here. Before we dive in, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Our channel is full of tips, tricks, theory tutorials like this one to help make your piano journey so much more enjoyable. Now let's get started. The first point of confusion is we have three minor scales. We have natural, harmonic, and melodic. So the question is, why three scales? We only have one major scale. Why do we need three minors to keep track of? Like I said, it's all about that leading tone. We'll get to that in just a bit, but first let's talk about the natural minor scale, and it's all about its relative, the major scale. So for every major scale that sounds like this, we have a minor scale that sounds like this. We call them relatives because they use the same notes. Now, if you have a major scale and you want to figure out its relative minor, there are two ways you can do it. First, you can go to the sixth note of the scale. So if we're in C major trying to figure out its relative, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that brings us to A. Or you can use the shortcut, that's going down 3 half steps. 1, 2, 3 brings you to the same place. So we would say the relative minor of C major is A minor. And since C major uses only white keys, that means A minor will also only use white keys. Let's use another example. G major has F sharp in it. If I use that 3 half step trick going down from G, 1, 2, 3 half steps, we know the relative is E minor. And since G major had an F sharp, that means E minor will also have F sharp. Now going back to A minor, because hey, it's white keys, it's easier to talk about. If we don't change anything, if we just play all white keys, we would call this the A natural minor scale. And as the name implies, it's called the natural minor because it's natural. We're not making any changes to it. So why do we have these other two minor scales? It's all about the leading tone, which comes from the major scale. So if we're in C major and you hear the 7th note, it really wants to resolve to here. That's why we call it a leading tone. There's that natural tension there. Not so much with natural minor. Here it's a whole step, so it doesn't really have that leading tone quality. It actually kind of sounds a little bit more folksy in nature, which is why we make a change in Western music to make it sound more like this. And that's where the harmonic minor scale comes in. That's where we're raising the 7th note in order to bring that half step back to have that leading tone quality once again. Again, because this likes to resolve to this much more than this. Now, as the name implies, harmonic minor, this scale works really well for harmonies, especially for the 5 chord resolving to the 1 chord, or the 7 chord resolving to the 1 chord in a minor key. But there's a problem with this scale melodically because of this interval right here. We call this an augmented second, and it kind of gives it that Egyptian-y sound to it, which in this day and age actually sounds kind of cool. But it really didn't fly in 18th century Europe, which is why melodic minor evolved to smooth that awkward interval over by raising both 6 and 7 on the way to what we call the tonic. That's the first note of the scale. And then on the way down, because we're not leading anywhere anymore, that's why we're allowed to lower those on the way down. So raised 6 and 7 on the way up and lower on the way down. My favorite example of melodic minor is the Burgmüller Ballade, which is in C minor. That's 3 flats, but the entire left hand in the opening is based on that melodic minor scale. This is using the melodic minor scale, A natural and B natural on the way up to C. Now, if we tried using harmonic minor, you'll notice immediately it sounds way more awkward. And then if we use natural minor, it sounds like something out of maybe Game of Thrones. By practicing all 3 versions of minor scales, we'll naturally develop a deeper understanding and appreciation of the theory behind any minor pieces of music that we play. So now I'd love to hear from you. Have minor scales ever been explained to you like this before? I'd love to hear about your experience in the comments below. And if this video has you curious about major scales and what makes them awesome, be sure to check out this video right here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.